As a state with one of the toughest DWI laws, New York drivers can face steep fines, suspension or revocation of their licenses, and a possible prison sentence. It is important to get the assistance of an experienced Long Island DWI attorney who can help you understand your rights and represent your best interests. DWI, DUI laws on Long Island. There are a lot of alcohol-related driving offenses under New York law. It can be very confusing to try and remember each one, but as a simple answer to the question of whether DWI is a felony on Long Island, it depends. Each DWI case is different, and the different circumstances of a case can determine whether it will carry felony charges. Understanding the anatomy of a DWI case will help us determine what are the aggravating and mitigating factors involved in alcohol-related offenses on Long Island. What is a per se DWI charge? To understand how alcohol-related charges like DWI work on Long Island, it is important to first gain insight into what a per se DWI charge means. A per se DWI charge means that you were operating a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol content, BAC, of 0.08%. Having a BAC of 0.08 is considered legally drunk in New York. A conviction of a first offense DWI can lead to the following penalties: a fine of $500 to $1,000 and/or a maximum of 1 year in jail. Mandatory license suspension for 6 months. Installation and maintenance of an ignition interlock device for a minimum of 6 months to a year. Up to 3 years in probation. Successive convictions of a DWI, especially when one already has a previous conviction of an alcohol-related offense, except a DWAI, within the past 10 years can lead to a felony DWI conviction. A felony DWI is one of the most severe alcohol-related offenses in New York, carrying a Class E felony charge. A person convicted of felony DWI can face the following penalties: a fine of $1,000 to $5,000 and/or a maximum of 4 years in a state prison. Up to 5 years in probation. Mandatory license revocation for a year. However, a person can be subject to harsher penalties depending on the number of prior convictions they have and how often they occurred over a specific time frame. Compared to a per se DWI, drivers found to have been operating a vehicle with a BAC of 0.18, meaning over twice the legal limit of 0.08, are charged with aggravated DWI. A first offense aggravated DWI conviction is considered a misdemeanor and can carry the following penalties: a fine of $1,000 to $2,500 and/or up to 1 year in prison. Mandatory license revocation for a year. Installation of an ignition interlock device. $395 surcharge on top of the mandatory fine. Up to 3 years in probation. If a driver commits the same offense within 10 years of a prior conviction, they may be charged with a Class E felony aggravated DWI, which carries the following penalties: a fine of $1,000 to $5,000 and/or up to 4 years in state prison. Mandatory license revocation for at least 1 year. The court can also prohibit you from driving while you are on probation. Installation of an ignition interlock device and attendance of a victim impact panel. $520 surcharge on top of the mandatory fine. Up to 5 years in probation. Hiring an experienced Long Island DWI attorney is crucial in building a strong legal defense and ensuring the best possible outcome in your case. A third conviction of aggravated DWI in 10 years carries a Class D felony charge and the following penalties: a fine of $2,000 to $10,000 and/or up to 7 years in state prison. Mandatory license revocation for at least 18 months. The DMV can also require evidence of alcohol rehabilitation before it allows you another license. The court can also prohibit you from driving while you are on probation. Installation of an ignition interlock device and attendance of a victim impact panel. $520 surcharge on top of the mandatory fine. Up to 5 years in probation. There is an additional variation to the aggravated DWI charge wherein a minor is in the car as a passenger. If a driver is found to be operating a vehicle with a BAC of 0.08, DWI, or their faculties are otherwise impaired by alcohol, DWAI, while a minor under the age of 16 is present in the vehicle, the driver could be charged with aggravated DWI, child in car, also called Leandra's Law. Conviction of an aggravated DWI, child in car charge, even for a first-time offense, is a Class E felony. Penalties can include the following: a fine of $1,000 to $5,000 and/or up to 4 years in state prison. Mandatory license revocation for at least 18 months. The DMV can also require evidence of alcohol rehabilitation before it allows you another license. The court can also prohibit you from driving while you are on probation. Installation of an ignition interlock device and attendance of a victim impact panel. $520 surcharge on top of the mandatory fine. Up to 5 years in probation depending on whether the child sustained little or no injury. The charges escalate significantly if the driver is involved in an accident and the child sustains a serious injury or dies as a result of the impaired driving. Class C with a possible prison sentence of up to 15 years if the child is seriously injured. Class B with a possible prison sentence of up to 25 years with a mandatory minimum sentence of 5 years if the child passes away. Regardless of the charges, even for a first offense DWI, a conviction can have a significant impact on a person's life. If you have been charged with a DWI in Nassau County or Suffolk County or anywhere on Long Island, getting the help of a qualified Long Island DWI attorney should be your priority. At Edward Palermo Criminal Defense, top-rated DWI attorney Edward Palermo has handled hundreds of DWI, DUI cases and successfully defended the rights of Long Island residents charged with alcohol-related traffic offenses. Our skilled Long Island DWI attorneys work diligently to provide quality legal representation and to build a customized defense strategy to provide clients with the best possible outcome for their cases. Call Edward Palermo Criminal Defense today at 516-280-2160 or 631-265-1052 to schedule a free consultation with one of our Long Island DWI attorneys.